Confucius, 551 BC, 479 BC. A great thinker, educator, and politician in ancient China, and the founder of Confucianism. Confucius lost his father when he was 3 years old and his family fell into decline. In his early years, he worked as a minor official in charge of granaries and herding. He has been familiar with traditional rituals since he was a child. As a young man, he was known for his extensive knowledge of rituals and music, and made a living by performing funeral rituals. In his middle age, he gathers his disciples to give lectures and engage in educational activities. Confucius created the culture of private lectures and was the founder of Confucianism. Confucius's disciples and subsequent scholars compiled his words and deeds into the book, the Analects of Confucius, which became one of the Confucian classics. Confucius constructed a complete ideological system of morality, advocating the virtues of benevolence and propriety at the individual level. He emphasized personal cultivation and moral perfection. His theories and educational concepts had a profound impact on later generations. The main economic thoughts of Confucius are the emphasis on righteousness over profit, the view of righteousness and profit, of thinking of righteousness when seeing profit, and the idea of enriching the people. This is also the main content of Confucian economic thought and has a great influence on later generations. There are more than 2,000 Confucius temples distributed in China, North Korea, Japan, Vietnam, Indonesia, Singapore, the United States, and other countries. Among them, there are more than 1,600 in China, but there are only more than 300 well-preserved Confucius temples in China. There are 21 listed as National Key Cultural Relics protection units. Confucius is revered as the most holy teacher and the exemplary teacher for all ages. Thousands of years of wisdom inherited and accumulated over the years. Naturally, it has its own significance. Today, let's take a look at the wisdom left to us by this most holy teacher. The purpose of the university is to demonstrate bright virtues, bring people closer together, and ultimately achieve the highest good. Sincerity means not deceiving yourself, hating evil as you hate bad smells, and loving virtue as you love beautiful women. This is self-cultivation. So a gentleman must be cautious even when he is alone. Wealth can decorate a house. Virtue can nourish the body and mind. And if you have a broad mind, your body will naturally be relaxed. So a gentleman must treat others with sincerity. A gentleman first practices it himself before asking others to do it. When emotions are not expressed, it is called zhang. When they are expressed but not excessively, it is called he. When zhang is achieved, heaven and earth can each take their place, and all things can grow. Do not impose on others what you yourself do not desire. Love of learning approaches wisdom, diligence in practice approaches benevolence, and knowing shame approaches courage. If you prepare in advance, you will succeed. Otherwise, you will fail. Learn extensively, inquire deeply, think carefully, distinguish right from wrong, and practice resolutely. The principles of a gentleman seem dim, but become brighter. The principles of a villain seem bright, but gradually fade away. The principles of a gentleman are plain, but not boring, simple but elegant, gentle but rational, able to know the far from the near, from the outside to the inside, from the subtle to the obvious, and can be integrated with virtue. Isn't it a pleasure to study and review often? Isn't it a pleasure to have friends coming from afar? Isn't it a gentleman to not get angry when others don't understand me? I reflect on myself many times every day. Have I done my best to help others? Have I been honest with my friends? Have I reviewed the knowledge taught by the teacher? He respects virtuous people and despises beauty. He serves his parents with all his strength. He devotes himself to serving the king. He keeps his word with his friends. Even if he says he has not learned, I think he has learned. In the application of etiquette, harmony is the most valuable. A gentleman does not seek to be full when eating, is quick in doing things and cautious in speaking, follows moral people and corrects himself. In this way he can be said to be studious. Don't worry about others not understanding you, just worry about yourself not understanding others. I was determined to study at the age of 15, became independent at the age of 30, was no longer confused at the age of 40, knew the will of heaven at the age of 50, was able to obey orders at the age of 60, and could do whatever I wanted at the age of 70 without breaking the rules. People who can review old knowledge and gain new insights can become teachers. A gentleman lives in harmony with others and does not form cliques for personal gain, while a villain forms cliques for personal gain and cannot truly unite with others. If you only study without thinking, you will be confused. If you only think without studying, you will be tired. Knowing is knowing, not knowing is not knowing. This is wisdom. If a person does not keep his word, how can he survive in the world? It is like a cart without a wheelbarrow or a small cart without a wheelbarrow. How can they move? If this kind of thing can be tolerated, what else can't be tolerated? It is beautiful to live in an environment of benevolence. How can it be considered wise if you do not choose benevolence? A gentleman thinks about virtue. A villain thinks about land. A gentleman thinks about laws. A villain thinks about favors. Don't worry about not having a position. Just worry about whether you have a moral foundation. Don't worry about no one understanding you. Just hope that you can be worthy of understanding. A gentleman understands righteousness, while a villain only cares about interests. When you see a virtuous person, you want to emulate him. When you see an unvirtuous person, you reflect on yourself. A gentleman should be cautious in speech and quick in action. He is smart, studious, and not ashamed to ask questions, so he is called a cultured person. If simplicity is better than literary talent, it will appear crude. If literary talent is better than simplicity, it will appear superficial. Only when both simplicity and literary talent are combined can one be called a gentleman. Those who know it are not as good as those who like it, and those who like it are not as good as those who enjoy it. People who are above average can be discussed with profound principles. People who are below average cannot be discussed with profound principles. The wise man loves water. The benevolent man loves mountains. The wise man is good at moving. The benevolent man is good at being quiet. The wise man is optimistic. The benevolent man is long-lived. Remember it silently, learn without getting tired, and teach others without getting tired. If wealth can be obtained through legitimate means, I am willing to do even the most menial job. If not, I will pursue what I like as I please. I forgot to eat because I was studying hard, and I forgot to worry because I was happy. Before I knew it, I had grown old. When 3 people walk together, there must be one of them who is my teacher. Choose their strengths to learn from, and correct your own mistakes when you see their weaknesses. Confucius used 4 methods to teach people: culture, conduct, loyalty, and trustworthiness. A gentleman has a broad mind, is calm and serene. A villain has a narrow mind, is worried and troubled. When a bird is about to die, its cry is sad. When a person is about to die, his words are kind. Confucius abstained from 4 things: subjectivity, arbitrariness, stubbornness, and self-righteousness. A gentleman cannot be without great ambition and firm will because his responsibility is great and the journey is long. Isn't it a great responsibility to be kind and virtuous? Isn't it a long journey that ends only when you die? Confucius stood by the river and said, "Time passes like this flowing water. It never stops day and night." Young people are worthy of respect, but how do we know they won't surpass us in the future? If a person is still not famous when he is 40 or 50 years old, he is not worthy of respect. The commander of an army can be taken away, but the ambition of ordinary people cannot be taken away. A gentleman helps others to do good things and does not help others to do bad things. A villain does the opposite. Doing something wrong and not correcting it is the real mistake.